This is not a tax seminar. This is a customer experience seminar. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, better. Thank you. Good heavens. Okay, so thank you for sparing some time with me this morning. Customer experience has become a big deal. It's interesting that organizations around the world are making changes to customer experience. In fact, one of the biggest changes in job title last year was Director of Customer Experience. I know that many of you have job titles with customer service, customer experience in the job titles. Clearly, it's a big issue. And when I wrote the book, Managing the Customer Experience in 2002, I really didn't realize that sort of 4 years later, it was going to be such a big deal. The interesting thing is that many people say to me now, well, okay, yeah, got it, got the religion, you know, very important, need to do it. Question is, how? So this morning is really a little bit about the how. What I'd like to do is to share with you some tips around the processes that you might go through, the steps that you might take in your organization, if you haven't already started, around differentiating on the customer experience. But first of all, let me sort of back up and give you a sense of what's happening in the marketplace. As I go around the world and sort of talk to audiences and do research and so on, it's interesting to see what's happening in the marketplace. And essentially what I'm seeing is that, you know, some years ago, if you wanted to be successful, all you really needed to do was to have a great product. You know, if you had the product and the distribution, the share of resource, the share of market, the manufacturing, if you will, you could be pretty successful. As we know, as you get more competitors coming into the marketplace, it's no longer about having access to the resources. Everybody has access to the same resources. It's about having share of marketing, share of market. And so marketing became a big deal. And if you think about the 80s and the 90s, the heyday, if you will, of marketing, it was a really big deal. And that's the way that you won the game, by having better marketing. But let me ask you a question here. Does anybody know how many messages, marketing messages, we typically get exposed to every day? Any ideas? Absolutely. You read the book, right? Okay. So it's about 3,000. And of course, you know, the fact is that when you get exposed to that number of messages, that you simply screen them out. And even those that do get through, often we don't believe. In fact, there was an interesting campaign that was run a couple of weeks ago by the Advertising Authority, and it was a full-print ad. And it said, local advertising is twice as credible. In other words, if you advertise in the local press as opposed to the national press, the message is twice as much believed. And it seems that there's a huge amount of incredulity, if you will, in terms of a lot of the marketing messages. I was driving along a couple of weeks ago, and I went past a hoarding. And there was imagine the scene, if you will. There was this hoarding on the side of the road. And it's a picture of a businessman. You know he's a businessman because he's got a suit on, and he's lying in this grassy field. And it's a beautiful meadow, green meadow. And there's a blue sky, a few white fluffy clouds, the sun's up. You can almost hear the birds singing. You can almost smell the sort of the freshness of the air. You get to see nobody else in the picture at all. So what does the tagline say? It said, "Fly Korean Airlines." Now, I don't know if any of you have flown Korean Airlines, especially in economy, but trust me, it's not like that at all. You know, the fact is you're breathing recycled air. You know, you're fighting for elbow space with the person alongside you. You know, your knees are under your chin. It's the usual sad story of flying at the back of any aircraft. So it's not like that. And you say, well, it's not meant to be taken literally. And I would argue, but so what's the point? You know, if you're putting a message out there that nobody believes, what's the point? So I think there's an issue with marketing. I think so much now we don't pay attention to. And so I think it's really about share of mind. What do I mean by share of mind? Well, share of mind is, if I were to say to you, you're going online to buy books, who do you think of? Easy, right? Amazon. Okay, you might say, well, you know, there aren't that many online. Well, check it out. If you look at the number of organizations online selling books, there are quite a few. But the fact is that Amazon is top of mind. And the reason it's top of mind is, one, because it went from startup to $3 billion in sales in 6 years, largely without traditional above-the-line marketing. So yes, it had a lot of online sort of messaging and so on. There was a lot of word-of-mouth marketing that was going on, but essentially it wasn't traditional. And I would argue that so much today depends on the share of mind, being top of mind. Because there are so many brands out there, there are so many products out there, there are so many organizations out there. Unless you can be top of mind, unless you can cut through the pack, then it's very, very difficult to win. Hands up if any of you recently have been planning a holiday and went on to a website like TripAdvisor, for example, to check out the destination or the hotel. Just give us a show of hands. Look around, many of you. The interesting thing is that more and more frequently, that's what we're doing. We're believing other people. We're checking out other people's experiences to inform our own decisions. And that's what's happening in the marketplace. And if you look upon this quote from Jeff Bezos, that customer experience is bigger than customer service, it starts in the full end-to-end experience. It starts when you first hear about Amazon from a friend and ends when you get the package in the mail and open it. Is that end-to-end experience? So it's not just about what happens with people. Sometimes I ask people to say, put your hands up, if you rate Amazon in terms of its customer service. And oftentimes many people put their hands up. And I say, well, how many of you have ever spoken to an Amazon person? And the fact is, we never do. So what we do is we judge, if you will, the experience of Amazon and put a value on that. How many Amazon customers here? Just put your hands up. Quite a few of you. Okay. Ever noticed anything about the packaging? Brown. Brown box, yeah. It's got an Amazon brand on it. Anything else? Good. That's the point. You're not supposed to. The reason being that if you buy packaging or mail order order online from most web organizations, whatever, you know what typically happens? You get that package through the post, don't you? Right? And the first thing that you're confronted with are those big metal staples. Yeah? I have got a kitchen drawer full of bent knives. Because what happens typically, the package comes through the post, grab the first knife, and I'm levering out those metal staples. The point is that Amazon have thought about the experience end to end. They've thought about the package. They've thought about what does it mean to make it easy to open? What does it mean to order to make it easy to close? So they've thought about your user experience. It's not just about the book or the product that they're selling. It's about the end-to-end experience. And that's the difference between customer service and experience. It's about managing all of those touch points to create that experience. So we're seeing this shift in the marketplace. As I said, it started with products. It was all about function. It moved towards services, added value, and now it's about experiences. And I believe that those brands that you love, those brands that you admire, those brands that you go out of the way for, that you recommend to your friends, that you advocate for, there is an emotional attachment of some kind. Now, I'm not saying you love them, but there's certainly an emotional attachment of some kind to those brands. You feel some affinity towards them. And that's what top of mind is all about.